Hello and welcome back to the 6th Street Underground, a Zenless Zone Zero fan cast discussing all things ZZZ. As always, I'm your host, Eric, and I'm joined by my ever-wonderful co-host, Brian. Hi, Brian.
Hello.
How are you?
Can't complain. Beautiful sunny day, a new Eridu on the beach in the resort.
Tell me about your journey, Brian. What's been going on for you lately?
What?
You like how I phrased that? Tell me about your Zenless journey. How's your walk with Zenless?
I don't like the way you're
the one true savior, Zenless.
I was like, this feels like you're like trying to be like a new age guru.
Have you bought your Aston Martin yet, or are you sort of saving up for that?
Yeah, I wasn't gonna pull for the Aston Martin, but I was able to actually get approved for 3 mortgages on my house.
Oh, congratulations!
So, and I talked to my financial advisor, ChatGPT, and it said, you should do it.
Okay. It said it was totally worthwhile. You probably get 300 polychromes if you buy the car, so that should be pretty cool.
I feel like if you buy an Aston Martin for a gacha
not worried about it.
They should just give you 1 copy of every hero they release for the rest of...
Yeah.
At least for the year. At least 1 year of every character you get 1 copy just for hey, thanks for being so rich that you bought a car we designed.
Do you know how much it's listed for? I think I looked at it.
If I had to guess, I'm going to say 350,000.
That's pretty much it. Yeah, it was more than literally more than my home costs when we bought it during the housing bubble. For those who don't know, Zenless partnered with Aston Martin to release presumably with releasing a car or something. I don't know what you get because it's so rich for my blood. I tried opening the webpage and my phone was just like, you can't afford this. You shouldn't be here.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't think it was going to be an actual collaboration for a car.
Yeah.
I thought it would just, I don't know what I thought it would be.
I don't know. It's fascinating. I find it, we're making jokes, but I just find it very interesting.
It's also one of those things that it throws me for a loop when things are more popular than I think they are. Like when they did, what was the crossover event they did with a baseball team?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. They did a crossover with the baseball team
for some other gacha, probably Genshin.
It was Nikkei.
Nikkei
did it because there was a skin in Nikkei that also came with it. Which
I do love the
Padres,
the cross section of when 80% at least of a group is going to be so baffled because people were just going. They're like, oh, we'll go to this baseball game, and then they're like, why the hell are these scantily clad anime girls singing the 7th inning stretch with me? And they're like, shut up, grandpa. And they're like, I'm 45.
Yeah, it's cool. This is a cool thing. You're like, I don't know what this is. I don't know how I feel about this. It's fascinating. Yeah, man. Let's see. Beach event's still going strong. I assume, you and I have both kind of cleared that thing out completely. I mentioned it in the Discord, but I'll mention it here as well. Unless I mentioned it last time, then you can tell me to cut it. That there's a secret achievement for releasing 500 fish.
You did mention it last time because I just did it today.
Cool.
Because every time I would fish, and then I'd be like, all right, cool. Now that I fished and set auto ferry back up, let me go release. And they're like, you can't do that right now. And I'm like, I'll remember tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
3 weeks later, it's like, I finally remembered.
There's so many times where I'm like, I shouldn't have told Ferry to fish yet because you can't release things if Ferry's fishing. The current event right now, I think, is the
JoJo's Space Mystery
Space Adventure, which is pretty for a glorified freebie event. I think it's more interesting than some of them.
So most of it is. It's the generic, go take some photos and then they ask you some questions. And even if you somehow get the question wrong, you
tells you
still get to
correct
keep
it.
going until you get it right.
Yeah.
I just finished it today, and I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't gotten around
I
to it
have
yet.
one more day to do. I haven't done the last day yet.
The last bit is actually really cool and
Okay.
like has surprising amount of like implications for the future.
Oh,
It's
okay,
one of
I'm
those where
excited.
I was like, all right, cool. You know, we did our little photographs. Let me do. Oh, like
Wait a minute.
they're like talking about some actual things. Characters you don't expect are getting a little bit of like development.
Oh,
So
cool.
I was like, the ZZZ will do this where they will have random events that the event itself is basically meaningless, and then they're just like lore, actual lore. So
there's like a throwaway line. You're like, oh wait, this is really important. Actually,
it's their way of like encouraging you not to just click through every bit of dialogue that they throw out.
yeah, to actually read.
But yeah, so the event itself though, it's unfailable. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, the only fail point for me is that the open world zones are devastating to my phone. So I haven't done the last day yet because the PlayStation was in use. So I was just doing my dailies on my phone.
That's right.
I can fight bosses, no problem. Open world, potato.
I do remember you mentioning that.
Clearly, I need a new phone. So that's why I've been putting off that last days because I wanted to do it like when I could just like.
I don't know. I think there's a certain amount where they're just not designed for a phone. They're like, it is a gacha game, and you could play it on your phone. It's kind of like Genshin. Like when I played Genshin, I started on the phone, and I'm like, this game is a phone game in name only. It is clearly designed to be a full game.
Yes. I mean, I think it's wild because I also don't like to play Genshin on my phone, but I make sure I keep up my dailies. So like when I travel or stuff, I do play on my phone, and my phone does not chug on the big open world sprawling landscapes of Genshin as much as it chugs on a hallway in the new like aerospace complex.
Oh yeah.
So I think there's some optimization going or some stuff on the back end that's a little tricky. But that's really like first world problems over here.
But yeah, I guess the other thing people would have is if they never dedicated themselves to going around and actually like doing the aerospace area, which you should because it's a lot of free resources.
It's a lot of free stuff.
Then you would have to like, it's basically their way of forcing you to explore at least part of it, because if you don't have them unlocked, you can't fast travel to like the spawn zone that is right next to where you're going.
Yeah. I realized because of this event, I had not cleared out the most recent section that was added.
Yeah, because they just dropped it in.
Yeah,
like you went through in the story and then they dropped it in after the fact. And because I remember, I think that was the same thing I did. Is I saw that and I was like, all right, well, since I'm already here, let me take my time. And it's a small zone. It takes you 5 minutes. There's only a handful of stuff.
For sure. Other things that are going on. I mean, we're not. I want to say a lull, but like most of the beach stuff is done. If you haven't done it yet, I think there's like 10
the
some
Ghost Ship
days.
Adventure still going on, or did that just finish?
Ooh, I think Ghost Ship Adventure. Let's check. I've got it pulled up. It looks like Ghost Ship Adventure. No, Ghost Ship Adventure is still going. It's got another about less than a week. It will this time next week. It will not be running anymore.
Yes, because I know that one. I think this one. Or no, so they've still got 2 weeks about 2 weeks on the Alice
like the
banners.
big event. Yeah.
So you basically got 1 week less than the banner.
You've got the same amount of time for the auto chess event, which I deeply enjoyed. And then other news, like there's a new Shiyu defense out. Cool.
What did you think of the Ghost Adventure? Because we didn't talk about it last time because it hadn't come out yet.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I enjoyed it. I really like when they do these 2D fights. I found Alice very easy to use. I found Yuzuha finicky.
This was it's one of the things we've talked about before, where they do these things where you have to solo as a support character.
Yeah.
And it's just ever so slightly a slog. Like they tweak it a little bit So it's not like impossible. It's just annoying because her core mechanic doesn't get triggered by herself. So you're just basically sitting there just auto attacking them. And
unless you do her pogo stick, right? Like but like the timing on the pogo stick was a lot tighter than I expected it to be.
Yeah.
Like I thought I could just mash through it. You can't. If you keep mashing, she's not gonna do it. So you actually had to like hit the rhythm. So when it worked, it was great. When it didn't, it was a slog.
Alice was ridiculous. The fact that her auto attacks generated auto parries, and the auto parries generated a full bar of her like super attack. I was like, oh, if only it could be this easy to play her normally. Well, she's not hard to play.
3 dash attacks. She's not hard to play. 3 dash attacks, your step, and like when you got to the end and you could use both at once, they shared a
buff or whatever.
Pop-off buff. Like they're like enraged or whatever you want to call it. It was shared. So you didn't have to touch Yuzuha's like mechanics because you just had to dash attack 3 times.
Yuzuha was just what she normally is. She shows up, throws her candies out, and then goes back to Alice.
Yeah, exactly.
I loved the last level, and I was sad we got so little time with it.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
The ghost ship with like the cool things popping up. I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then you basically just had the one run with it, and I was like, dang.
Yeah, that could have gone for like a like challenge mode or some other like,
which I guess it technically did because like that's the infinite, or no, it's not even the infinite run.
It's just like it's like a 3 minute. I think it's like 3 minutes, and you just get to
because the infinite run mode is on the regular dock. It is purely just the final boss that is on. So like if the infinite run mode had been on that or something, that would have been awesome.
That would have been cool, but. It did the job of selling the characters a lot.
Also, I desperately want those pirate costumes to be actual costumes. They're so cool.
Good. That splash art's amazing. I almost wish that had been like the summer costume instead of the bathing suits.
Yeah.
Not that I don't own the bathing suits, but like they were pretty cool.
So bathing suits. So you ended up getting Alice?
What? What? Okay, here's the problem.
Mister, I'm gonna skip Alice. There's Seed, there's Orpheus.
Yes,
I don't need I got Jane.
Okay, that's the problem. I was 100% on the skip Alice train. And then loudmouth people on our Discord were talking about how Jane's best team is with Alice. And I was like, well, if I want to play as Jane Doe, I'm going to use her best team. And so I have Alice.
How weak you are.
Brian, don't talk to me. Do you have Alice?
Absolutely.
Okay. I knew it. I 100% knew. I was like, there's too many people talking and Brian's been too quiet. And neither of us has said anything to each other in like a week and a half. We both absolutely pulled Alice and aren't admitting it till the podcast.
Speaking of Alice and Jane, I just did this week's Hollow Zero because Alice and Jane are and then also Shark Lady. I ran Jane and Alice, and Jane is so good with her. One of the items she can get is that when someone else triggers assault, she jumps in and does damage. So
they've been prepping this for a while.
I was like, this is so nuts. It's because I remember doing it as Jane before Alice, and I'm like, who else is gonna frickin' trigger assault? Like, this was before
I'm not
Alice, before
Piper.
Yuzuha. I was like, the only other physical person really is Caesar, and she ain't triggering Jack.
It's not Caesar, so it's either like Piper or it's like Billy. And I'm like, I'm not running either of those.
And then they're like, look, it's almost like we playing these two characters. And you're like, okay.
The long con. Did you run them with adversity still, or did you run something else?
I have not been running adversity most of the time, because I've had a couple runs where adversity has kind of screwed me over.
It gets a little hairy.
So I will usually just go with like anomaly or
makes sense.
Ultimate. Ultimate is just so good when you can just throw out 800 especially if like I'm running Alice.
Yeah.
Or not Alice.
Like
Vivian.
Vivian.
So that way, like, I definitely never run out of. Yeah.
Well, I think even like one of the things that has been really fun about that team is, one, it lets us play with Jane's like super dodgy play style, which is always so rewarding. But Alice's hold attack when she has a full meter and her ultimate have a lot of lingering frames on the animation where you can switch her out. So like,
I didn't actually know that.
It's so tempting to watch it all play out, but like pretty much the moment you get out of slow-mo mode or the moment after her animation for her ult, you can switch to Jane and that still keeps popping off. And so like when you get it really lined up right, you've got Alice like doing her symmetrical star. You've got Yuzuha jumping in from the side to blast them because you procced her aftershock attack. And you switch in Jane. And I had a couple of times where like Alice's ult was still going when I was ulting with Jane. And those meters just like it's like a spinning clock, man. Like it's wild how quickly they like mesh together.
I also used that team on the most recent Shiyu defense, the Hollow Zero defense.
Me too. Yeah.
Which I am sad to say, I think officially the Jane Caesar Bernice team is dead now.
It can't keep up.
Because I started with the Jane Caesar Bernice because the final node is fire physical weakness. And I'm like, all right, cool. And I was like, the damage is just not there. I was like, let me restart it with Jane Alice, see how good they are outside of
outside of Hollow Zero.
Outside of Hollow Zero. And it was just it was bonkers.
Especially because like I think that fight, it's not like sometimes Phase 7 is just a boss. That fight is a boss and some other guys. So there's some AoE requirements.
Yeah, which Jane Bernice does not.
Jane, if you're lucky, and like Caesar's not doing it unless you're using her hold attack, which you're not.
Yeah.
and Bernice isn't doing it unless you've got them perfectly lined up, as opposed to like Alice, who her ult and her skill have a vacuum effect that like pulls people into it.
Yeah.
Which then you can switch to Jane and they're all grouped, so you can like spin.
It was completely different because I think the first wave, because it was first fire physical, and it's that like super tanky summoner guy. And so as the Jane Bernice team, I was literally like having more guys than I could handle at one time. Whereas Alice, I was like, oh, everyone's dead. And then, of course, the second part, they said, these people are weak to ice. And Miyabi said, say no more.
Okay. Bet. I do still appreciate anytime I think I got it pulled up. So the Rampant Brute shows up, the guy who covers himself in electricity over and over again, because it always procs disorders. Because like that boss enemy, he attacks aggressively. So there's lots of dodges, there's lots of parries, and he's always electroing. So you're always getting those disorder procs off of him. It's a very fun enemy to fight, and I like fighting him a whole lot more than I like fighting the twins that disappear half the time they're on the field.
There's one other person I have come to hate fighting as a boss.
Is it Hugo?
Yes. It is so annoying fighting Shadow Vlad, and it's not even that bad because they've clearly like balanced it so it's the same, but it doesn't feel the same because the amount of times he is just parrying your moves.
Yeah,
I haven't really figured out his trick, because sometimes when I'll fight him, I'll get stuck in that like slow-mo mode, and other times he'll just do it like the one time. And I don't know if it's me that keeps triggering it or what, but I was like, I hate fighting him. He interrupts the flow of the game. And this is why I didn't pull for Vlad, because of his NPC version.
Okay. Sure, Brian. I I agree with you in that, like, when you put him in Shiyu defense, where I mean, if your account is stacked or you easy clear the other side, it's not a big issue. But if you're really watching the timer, he slows down time in game, but not on the clock.
Yes.
So you're like, stop, hit me faster. You're wasting my time. And I think like I guess you're supposed to not attack him when he's like in like parry stance or something. But this is Zenless Zone 0, and if I'm not pushing attack, I'm dead or I'm dodging, right? And so like I'd rather hit him and then like deal with that. I like the cycles of him slowing down time because you have a guaranteed parry coming up. There's always a parry after he like slows time, or at least a dodge. But again, like if it's the same thing as with the twins who have that phase where they're not the ballet twins, the other twins were like
the new twins, the
new twins, the ballet twins don't show up anymore. The Ranger twins, where they're like, you know what, you've been having fun. I'm actually going to take 15 seconds and be impossible to hit. You just have to dodge.
I hate fighting. I hate fighting any of the people in the time, especially like Deadly Assault, when you fight the motorcycle guy. What's his name?
Overlord Pompeii. Yeah,
Pompeii. When you're in a time assault and then he does his like 15 second spin and you're like I don't care normally, but I'm watching the clock. I'm trying to hit that point and you're just eating time.
At least you can dodge off of those pretty reliably. But even just land. Come on, man.
Yeah, it's just purely
like, fight me.
It's like, all right. It's like I've already moved out of the circle. I'm just watching you go in circles.
Yeah, this is great. Enjoy yourself. But the only thing I'd say is like last time we talked about the new like mini boss, the Jester.
Yeah.
That like jumps up into the air. It is so satisfying when you parry. Like he'll do a red cross, and then sometimes another red cross, sometimes a yellow cross, and the gold cross is the one you can parry. If you parry that gold cross, it immediately cancels him out of his, like it knocks him to the ground and it feels so good when you land that timing right. Like you feel like you've read the enemy in a very satisfying way, and then it feels really stinky when you miss it. You're like, man, I should have parried I should have switched instead of dodging there. And but I bet he'll show up in some Shiyu defenses. Well, all of that is to say that if you're on the fence with Alice and you like Jane or you like doing physical damage, Alice is very good. My problem right now, and this might be a controversial opinion, is I bought her bathing suit because I bought it as a bathing suit. But I don't know if I like it more than her normal outfit.
Oh, I definitely like it more.
I don't know, man. I mean, I do like it, but I don't know. I'm on the fence. I'm curious to see with future characters how much this alternate, like this release costume trend continues, where like Asriya came out, has an outfit. Yuzuan comes out, has an outfit. Both Yuzuha and Alice come out, have an outfit. I need them to go back to like where I don't feel like I need the costume, like the alternate outfit, or my bank account's gonna go.
There's also something I'm interested in because I just noticed it today while playing Alice. Yeah. I don't know if it's always there, but she had a voice line when I used her ultimate about the beach.
Yeah,
and so I don't know if they actually have alternate voice lines tied to these costumes.
Well, we know they do in character select because we talked about Yuzuha being like, who wants a summer story instead of a scary story?
Yeah, that's true.
We're both like, what's a summer story, Yuzuha?
Who wants a summer story? It's about a rock lobster.
Okay, Frog and Toad, tell me about it. Like, what's the story here? But yeah, I think it's got to be something to validate the cost. But I'm definitely in this place where I'm like,
well, I mean, let's be fair. It doesn't have to. The validation is the boob window.
is the pantsuit shot and the boob window.
Yeah.
But I'm with Seed coming down the pipeline and Orphean Magus coming down the pipeline. We'll see if we get new outfits for them. Those are both still on my radar. I don't know about how you're feeling, Bri.
I don't know. I'm curious to see, because have they announced what their roles are yet?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if I need two attackers.
Yeah, I think they're both listed as attackers, but like they're attackers. At least with Orpheus, it's attacker in name only.
Yeah, she's like an off-screen attacker.
She's an off-field attacker, so she's really like a Bernice or a Trigger, but for damage. But it lets her work with other characters who want attackers on the team, like Trigger. And then I think Seed's an electric attacker.
Which
like Seed do what Sandby do.
I'm just imagining now a Trigger, Orpheus, like Sandby team where you have these two off-screen people doing stuff, and so it is just someone like Sandby who just wants to be on screen, just going at it.
Yeah, that's the team I'm most excited about. Like, I still think I'm gonna pull for Seed. I think Seed is gonna be a little bit swappable with Sandby, but the fact that Sandby also boosts or buffs aftershock damage. So she'd be buffing the damage of Orphe and Trigger while also being on field and like proccing her own aftershocks. That team sounds super fun.
Yeah.
And those are the three of my favorite design characters in the game, bar none. So I'm like, of course I want those three together. They're like my three favorite designs. Hi, kitty.
You're going to want to cut out a good bit. I didn't realize it, but the microphone was catching her purring.
Oh, that's okay. We'll leave it in. We'll comment on it now, and we'll just leave it in. That if you hear some weird... hey, folks, if you hear some weird noises going on, it's because Brian's lovely cat has felt like she had to be part of the podcast as well. So please excuse our wonderful kitty friend. I'm excited to talk more about Seed. The problem with me being interested in Seed is I'm not going to beat the allegations.
You can't spell feet without seed, or something like that.
That's how it is. She seems really interesting. They also tease, and I wish I had this pulled up. I don't. They tease that in an upcoming, like real life event, like a Games Fest or something.
She almost knocked over like a whole thing of paintbrushes.
Your office is not cat friendly, man.
No.
Of course, but that doesn't stop her. They announced, like, I think it's like a Games Fest or something coming up, that they were going to be revealing more information about upcoming characters. So we may be getting some new teasers or some new news down the pipeline. It's probably this Idol faction, but we'll be keeping an eye out, and the moment we hear something, we'll say something.
I would love it if they continue to just mess with people. They're like, all right, you got your first teaser of that Idol faction. See you next year.
You're gonna get all of the people teased in that like pre-launch video before we get all three of the Idol faction in game, just to keep people like riding along.
But I think that is basically it. It is the end of 2.1.
Yep.
So there won't be anything new until probably next, maybe the end of next week would be a special program about 2.2.
Yeah. By our next episode, we should probably have plenty to talk about with what will be coming down the pipeline. It'll be a good timing for us. A good time to catch up. It's a good time, if you haven't, to kind of go back and do some of the hard modes of things, or farm up your friendship, the relationship stuff. I've been going back and finally like taking through those.
Yeah, actually doing those quality invites and everything.
Yeah, originally it felt like doing like the quality time and getting all of those achievements was taking a long time. It doesn't take that long, really, to like
they're not
clear
time
someone's
gated.
out.
Like,
yeah, so you can just like cycle through them.
Yeah, so like if you really want to, you could like just dedicate an hour and go through, do the wish event, exit, go back in, and the next one will be available to do. And so you could really power through if you just wanted to sit down and knock them out.
I've been trying to do when I don't have other things on my plate. I've been trying to knock those out because it's kind of just like a bank of extra resources I could be dipping into.
Yeah.
For a relatively low actual effort. I can do that on my phone when I'm like watching TV or something.
I was gonna say that it's a good like have something else to do, because the one thing that annoys me about the Wish events is how slow the dialogue, like you can't speed through it, so you're just kind of sitting there while they, and because you don't have control over how fast it goes, they give you extra time, so it's like no matter how long it is, it feels like it's like 30 seconds, a minute.
It's rough. I think it's because we saw the same thing in like the main story, like if they're talking on the field. I think it's because they have just linked like that dialogue as like it procs at this certain time because other languages would be longer.
Yeah.
And so like what we hear is the longest possible length that line could take in whatever language. Now the next line starts, and like sometimes you're just sitting there like, I don't know about you, I'm sitting there standing. Like I can see the next thing that's gonna happen in the story, but I'm just gonna stand here and wait for them to finish telling me something.
Yeah.
And then go. It's a little bit like one of my biggest pet peeves in video games.
Fishing.
Ah, I love fishing. Okay, shut up. It's when you're playing like an action RPG or a high action game and you're fighting a boss and the boss is monologuing.
Yes.
And like there's too many sound effects for me to hear what he's saying, and I can't read it because I'm trying to not die. So I just know I'm missing something.
Or
right?
I don't know, worse than that is when they just like stop combat for them to monologue, so you're like let me go. They're like, no.
I had a rhythm, and then they like smack you in the face. Yeah. Or you are too good and you burn through a whole phase and you miss a bunch of dialogue.
Yeah.
Because you did all the side quests before you fought the final boss, and now you're off topic. Brian, we had some requests from people on the Discord to kind of go back over some of the different systems in ZZZ.
We've
had people. Yeah, we did. We've had people join in. Like I think you and I tend to always operate under this assumption that everyone listening has been playing since launch, which is probably not the case. So we thought today would be, since it is towards the end of a patch, would be a good day to go through and just kind of talk about. I want to say it was the tower game modes and the different things within Hollow Zero. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for yes-anding, Brian. So let's start with tower, I think, because I think the tower is a little bit more simple than the other.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, I mean, the tower itself, so they kind of have the two modes. They have the one that is permanent, and then I guess they have like essentially like a seasonal one.
Yeah. Which is a new thing for us because we didn't know it was a seasonal one.
Yeah, I didn't know it was seasonal either. So the regular one, you get a limited amount of spots to have a roster. You see what you're fighting ahead of time, or at least what the weaknesses are, and then you build your team and you hope you win. Yeah. The regular one is easier just because they give you more healing and stuff, and as you get to like different tiers. This new one, it was harder than the previous seasons, and I wasn't ready for it.
Okay.
Like it was still fine once I actually paid attention. The key is, like in so many things, is if you pay attention, the game's a lot easier than if you don't pay attention and you just think you can brute force. But also there's the one thing I don't like is, so you have to like every like 5 floors or so, you have to pick I forget what they call it, but like the floor
like
mechanics.
A modifier.
Yeah. And so like this new season, they added in a bunch of techniques and stuff. And they'll be like, and like that part is fine because they fully explain it. But what they don't explain is what the rewards are. And so there's several things. They're like, after beating this floor, next floor you'll have this buff. And I'm like, what does this buff mean?
Like, what does that mean?
And at least 2 of them are fine. I don't entirely know what they do. There is one that you should absolutely not pick. And it's called something like Demon Fireblood or something. Essentially, you're just using adversity.
Yes.
In a like very slim resource thing. So I picked it the first time I tried like a group of 5 levels. Yeah. And my Miyabi was just dying because I was spamming my EX, and every time you hit EX, you were burning health for increased damage.
That's right.
Which isn't a huge deal if it's a one-off level, but when you're not going to be able to heal until 10 levels are done, by like level 3, my Miyabi was basically dead, and I had to so I redid it. There's also, I also hit a point where sometimes, depending on what your team comp is I ran into the priestess or whatever the newest boss.
Oh,
the one that's
the new void miasma priest or whatever.
The one who's
that has
resistant to ice, and I had Miyabi, and so I have a weak Miyabi going against a resistant boss, and so that was just bad.
In a very punishing game mode, because I think like especially new tower, but both towers, they really want health to be a resource.
Yes,
that you're managing. Things hit really, really hard.
They hit so much harder than the actual game.
It makes Caesar feel a little bit more viable in that game mode because like you get a little bit of a buffer. But even then, Caesar's shield goes from, oh, no one's ever going to pop this, to what happened to my shield?
Yeah. I got to level 30 in the current season, and my go-to lineup was basically I would get Astra Yao, Yuzaha, Vivian, and then just get a couple different anomaly characters. So that way the main team could be like Astra Yao, Vivian, or Vivian, Yuzaha, and then just slot in the additional element that you were using to fight. So it was nice because Yanagi got so much playtime on like a group of like 10 floors where they were all weak to electricity.
Yeah.
But that's basically how I ended up just doing it, is basically just planning around a team where you can just hot swap the element of the round.
Yeah, like the healing becomes really valuable. I haven't gone back and dabbled with base tower in a long time, but I remember base tower, the double-edged sword of like each 10 levels you can see what kind of team you'd want to be bringing. But if at that time I didn't have an ether team, that was going to be a hard 10 floors. Is it worth my time?
I think that's kind of where same as you, where I stopped at one point before I had a really good, I forget, it was probably like but yeah, it was like I ran into an element that I didn't have a solid team of, and I was like, I'm not beating my head against this game mode.
But it is a way to farm polychromes. It is an I really like the incentivizing of defensive tools that tower provides, because it is like you need to survive. Like, and I don't know about you, I found these moments where like I would clear a floor or be about to clear a floor, but I took errant hit or two.
And you restart because you want to make sure you have enough health going into future floors.
Yeah. It's like floor 3. I'm not going to go in the next 10 floors where I can only take one hit because I've made that mistake and been like, cool, here we go. And like, we're not going to do this.
Also, a fun thing I found. So every so often you'll come to a floor where it's just the like 6 different crates, and one of them is a mimic.
Okay.
If you get, I don't know if it's, you have to guess a certain number right, or if there's one that just finishes the floor.
Okay.
But you can finish that floor with, if you never find the mimic, if you open the right crate, the portal just ends. Like, it just opens and you just end. And it's really cool because a lot of the modifiers in the current seasonal give you a bunch of buffs for not taking damage. So I like opened a couple crates, the portal opened, I went through, and they're like, oh, you did it like hitless and all these other things. Here's 70,000 points, where normally you're clearing it with like 25,000.
Yeah.
They're like, you were flawless. And I'm like, okay.
Like I sure
but yeah,
was.
So yeah, that I was like, that's a fun little thing of
Yeah. And now would be a good time, like we were just talking about earlier. Like if you're caught up on everything else, now is a good time to kind of dive into the tower.
And if you really are like an achievement hunter, there are seasonal titles and achievements that you can get.
It's like floor like what 10 or 15, and then another one at like 100 or something.
So I think it's like 10, 30, 100, and then there's also one for like total amount of like technique points.
Yeah. Okay.
Which you more or less, depending on how, if you're getting S rank on all of the levels going up by level 30, you should be at or just under the 700,000 you need for that achievement. And then they have a couple more. So like I think the max out is like having like 3 million style points.
Right.
Which is, again, it's one of those where it's almost guaranteed to coincide with you getting to level 100. So you get, and I mean, some of the titles are kind of cool. And like I said, if you can't get enough Zenless, there's this endless tower that actually incentivizes getting to the theoretical end.
You can do it. There's people who are doing it. There's people who are way better at combat than us, who are like, this is how I play the game. This is what I want to do.
There's also the Aston Martin people who they're like, my Mindscape 6 W Engine 6 Miyabi is soloing. They're like, yes, she does solo all content.
Because she was a down payment on a house to do so. So of course she did. The other thing I want to tag real quick is just like a reminder that the tower, because I think we hear this sometimes in our Discord group. The tower is a game mode that assumes you've been playing the game for a while.
Yes.
It is an in-game game mode, and it is also entirely optional. And apart from like these like very long seasons, it's relatively permanent. And so like if you are a newer player or your characters aren't built out and you're like hurling yourself at the tower and going, this, I don't get it. This stinks. It's okay to come back to it later. Like it's not going anywhere.
For anyone who plays JRPGs, this is the after the final boss endless tower, like in all the Tales of games where you had to find the secret items, one of which is after the final boss in order to even. And then they're like, even then you still want to grind some more because this is literally just how we can pad out the game with an easy replicating like wave.
Yeah, exactly. It's a way to get a new badge to your player banner that no one ever looks at, because why would you?
Speaking of badges, Eric.
Yeah.
Tell me about Hollow Zero.
Let's talk about Hollow Zero.
You like that transition?
That was really good, Brian. I'm so proud of you. Hollow Zero is the like area of the game that like for a long time the MiHoYo Zenless team was using as their way of trying to figure out what end game in Zenless Zone Zero could even look like. And it's gone through a number of iterations. I actually really like where it's landed now, right?
Yeah, I really like it too.
It dips into the things that we like about the previous modes, but makes things a lot easier. So there are going to be some things in Hollow Zero, in like especially in like the Withered Domain section, that right half of the screen when you
Wizard
when you go
Domain.
in. The Wizard Domain. This one, man, throw your memories back to when we were doing Withered Domain once a week, and we had to like, there's the multiple tiers, and you could see which boss you were going to be at, but there was just like a challenge mode, right?
Well, even farther back was how many times did you have to do on release? You would have to do Withered Domain, like you have to run it like 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah, it was multiple times.
Or no, was it like 7 times?
Well, you needed, I want to say you need 8,000 points total per week. It's 8,000 points per week. And like the very first stage, which is admittedly the easiest, it's like a level 15 stage, gives 600 points. And so you were meant to kind of play through those to learn the game mode. And then you had like Old Metro. Most of the ones had 3,500 points at the end. So you were doing it twice a week, I think.
3 times. You had to do it 3 times because
I think it was 3 times. Yeah, at first. Then they added like endless fight mode where you were just up against what was her name? Nineveh.
Yeah.
And you could add difficulties, like add modifiers to make it harder, to raise the intensity. This was the first time we saw the intensity settings come in.
God, man, you're taking me down a 1 year memory lane. I forgot how much
painful.
this game mode has changed.
Yes, it's totally different. And so like there were ways to make it easier. There were modifiers that you could unlock as we went, and eventually added another mode that was that added like badges you could equip to this was even back when like there like before the boss you could run through levels first to acquire badges and then fight the boss and then save your loadout for future boss fights.
Yes.
Yeah, so like
I saw your like eyes glaze over as you were trying to remember like all the different weird things they were throwing at Hollow Zero.
I can't remember what I had for dinner last night. So remembering what we did in Hollow Zero a year ago, when admittedly it was hard and our accounts weren't as built up. What you need to know now is there are, I think, achievements attached to it, and there's like rewards for doing Withering Garden with certain amounts of intensity.
And as far as I'm aware, there are still those hidden quests that require you to find the hidden items in Withered Domain. That there is also a limit to how many times you can find them, either per day or per week.
Yeah.
Which that was also a weird point where you had to find these hidden blocks on the Withered Domain, and once you found a correct number of hidden blocks, they would unlock quests. Some of those quests, the trigger in the real world would be hidden because it would be an unmarked NPC that you would have to find and talk to. Yeah. So there was a lot of like esoteric things they did that were supposed to like help prolong the game that they got rid of in favor of features like the Shiyu defense or Deadly Assault the Endless Tower, which are a lot less annoying because you don't want to have to pull up people's third-party guides on how to find secret things in a game that aren't like super secret random achievements. Like just to actually see what the game has, you shouldn't have to pull up a guide and find like all these hidden things.
Right, because that was back when there was like the whole TV mode sections for a while, and this was like you would do 3 floors of TV modes and then you fight the boss, and like there were things you could do in the TV mode to build up badges and stuff, and make decisions, and it was interesting, but it was time consuming, and so that's when they decided to add in like, okay, you know what, you can just fight the boss, and here's some modifiers you can put on, and they went, people still don't like this, let's try something different. The last thing I'll say about it is like, if you're interested, there are guides out there. Pull up a guide. Some of the quests are pretty fun. It's an interesting thing, but if you are not like, there's other stuff going on in Zenless right now that you would be pretty safe to just disregard that section of the game. I think you'd miss out on some of the lore about Nineveh, and a lot of the things we learned about Nineveh really inform what we know about the way Hollows work, and like we now have Geppetto, and Geppetto kind of builds off of some of the knowledge we got about Nineveh. But unless you're like lore hungry, I think like if you're just trying to acclimate yourself to all the systems in Zenless, you can pretty safely not worry about tapping on the Withered Domain section of the screen, and you'd be okay.
Yeah, like you said, Withered Domain is a great thing where, like right now, where everything that's going to come out for 2.1 has come out. And so we got about 2 weeks of downtime / starting to farm for the next people and stuff. So if you log on and you're like, I don't have anything to do, what else can I do? You got the Endless Tower, and you also have going back and doing Withered Domain. But that's enough about that. Let's talk about the thing that's actually relevant, which is the current mode.
Let's talk about the current mode, because the current mode, like just when you're looking at the screen, there's a lot of stuff going on. I'm trying to remember what the difference is between Task Force Investigation and Battlefront Purge. Battlefront Purge was the precursor to Task Force Investigation.
Isn't one of them where they have like the specific like
Yes.
they have each level has its specific modifiers, and you're just running through the level under the modifiers.
I believe that's correct. There's a story mode that is self-explanatory. Do the story mode; it'll introduce you to the mechanics and everything, and kind of builds up the lore. There's the Perpetrator Battle Crush one, and that's the one that lets you do these character-specific challenges that essentially are meant to teach you how their special items work within the Hollow Zero things. Like those, some of those, like I would say they're easy, but some of them, like the timing is pretty tight.
There was
unless you really capitalize on
one or two abilities. Of the characters I had to try a second time because, like you said, to get their special things to go off. Most of them are pretty easy, and like you said, they're just a nice. Again, there's polychromes tied to them and some resources, but it's a nice way to learn what their special items do.
Yeah, it's teaching you. Same thing with like it says Shadow Operation Trial down below. That's teaching you some of like the way the stage mechanics can work. All those little the small boxes. This is one of the things where like even if you don't read, it's gonna help you. Do the small boxes if they say new on them.
Yes.
Until there's nothing left, because that's teaching you things, and those are static. I think there are different achievements for Battlefront Purge versus Task Force Investigation. Purge came out first and was them trying out this whole like characters can have special equipments and things going on.
Purge also has the upgrade tree.
Yes, Purge has the upgrade tree.
Which was simple. You would go through, you would get resources, and then you could put it into these modifiers. Basically, you could fully fill out the upgrade tree, and then I think you had like five to like upgrade them just the next level higher. They just made your exploration into the higher intensity levels easier.
I want to say that also counts for Task Force, but I don't.
It doesn't
remember. Some of them.
The only reason I know for specifically it doesn't, or at least not all of them, is because if you do Task Force, you get one revival due, and in the upgrade tree you would have more.
You'd have more, and you'd have like the chance to get like tons of chests. You're right. So yeah, Purge is a little bit easier. If you are really struggling with Task Force Investigation, you can go to Purge instead. But right now, like the thing you should be doing each week is Task Force Investigation.
Yes.
Because you get bonuses for using one of the 3 characters that they list. You still get to pick your investigation strategy, and like it's that whole roguelike sort of like choosing your pathways mode. There's a number of achievements attached to them as well. Like there's achievements for like going into a whole bunch of healing areas and not taking the healing.
Yeah.
Like there's an achievement.
I would say if you're really bored or you're just curious, look into the achievement page. I'd say about 75% of them you will probably just do naturally at some point. And then there are some that you have to go in and plan you have to go in and you have to specifically be aiming for that achievement. Because like you said, some of them are...
Why would you do that?
Because there's like one that's like, finish the final boss with like 8,000 coins. Which the only way you would do that is if you knew you're like, I'm collecting coins and I'm not buying anything.
Yeah, I'm never going to a store.
Which I did once because...
It's fun.
It's fun.
There's something, I can't remember what it was, that like increases your damage the more coins you have. I forgot where that's located, but if you already know you're gonna hoard coins, the other nice thing about it is, as like we were talking about some of the previous game modes, without even going super hardcore, you can get your 8,000 points for a single run.
Yeah.
Like, so it's a lot easier to do that. And there are some settings that you can put on. Like I'm looking at my settings, my like default settings right now. I don't like the one that reduces the amount of time you get for bosses. If I'm running an anomaly team, I take off the things that reduce anomaly build up. But there's like one that increases the damage you deal, but it reduces your max HP. Fine. I'll leave that on all the time because it's damage.
The one I like is where like half the zones are unknown.
Oh, is that I haven't been running that because I like knowing where I'm going.
I just like it because it's fun, and I will every time I go through. I'm like, let me.
Yeah.
Unless there's like one specifically that like looks really good at like the end of a branch, I'm like, let me pick the branch that has the most unknown, because it's
Just YOLO it.
you just live for chaos sometimes.
Yeah, man. I like that. And that's a relatively low stakes thing compared to some of the other things you could put on. Like some of these are pretty brutal.
Yeah, like the super high anomaly resistance against anomaly teams. You're like, all right, that one's just not fun.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough. The one that like you just steadily take damage during boss fights is pretty brutal.
Yeah, there's
I like the one that makes it so stores can require HP instead of money.
Yeah,
actually, because then you have a chance of healing yourself with agent attacks. So like you have a way of recovering passive health in runs as well.
That is also, I think, one of the reasons I stopped running Adversity so much is because I was getting those, and I'm like, I can't afford anything because I'm perpetually at like half health or lower.
Yeah,
but also you only need like I think it's like 8 or 9 intensity. So like half the modifiers gets you your weekly clear in one shot.
Oh yeah, it's not even that. Like I've got it. I'm on low intensity right now. I have 4 things selected, and for this week's clear, I would get 9,200 points.
There you go. Yeah, because I did
like
I did my one run
very
at like
easy.
level 15 intensity.
Yeah,
and suffered through it, and I was like, nope, this is not how the weekly run is going to be.
Yep. No, I keep mine at 4 because 4 is one of the thresholds for like the character achievements. And if you've got like with, I think I mentioned in a previous episode, a built Yijuan and Jifufu can carry anybody through it. And so like whenever like a Corin or Billy is on a bonus, I'll put one of them in as a third member just for those free extra like.
Yeah. Because I think the one for
points.
clearing
It's
it
not
at
hard.
intensity 8 doesn't give you polys, it just gives you like money.
Yeah. And like you can do it at 8, but it's just sweaty enough that if I'm sitting down to really commit myself to it, cool. If I'm just trying to tick off my box for the week because it's free resources and I don't want to miss out, I'm going to put it at the bare minimum, clear it, and you're good to go. The only other thing that we haven't mentioned yet is the oddball of the group. It's the Arpeggio Fault.
Yes, which
was their attempt at trying to make TV. It was like the death throes of the TV mode of like, maybe we can make an end-game TV mode that's only TV mode.
Yeah.
And people will really like it. If you can throw your mind back, how do you feel about Arpeggio Fault?
Honestly, I liked it. I'm sad that they didn't continue with it. I thought it was... I can see why they didn't continue because it's so out of line with the rest of ZZZ's gameplay, especially now, where there's no real combat. Like, you're running around, you're collecting bangboos, and then you're fighting other monsters by just slamming. You're just doing stat checks.
Yeah.
So you're not getting any of the characters that you spent money on, and now any of the costumes or anything. Yeah. So it's cool. I still hope that maybe they'll bring it back at some point, but I think, especially now with like the auto battler chess, I think they're really, honestly, they're going away from what a lot of gacha games do, which is create these really cool, interesting models, and then you don't see those models ever in the game. They're doing the opposite, where they want you to see the models as much as possible. So because it's just static portraits of bangboos and.
Also, there were 29 levels to Arpeggio Fault.
Yeah.
Which, even as a TV fan, that's a slog. There's a lot.
Yeah. My advice is, if you are going to do Arpeggio Fault, just Google. There's a guide that tells you the best combos. And
I can tell you that the cheese mode right now.
Now, as if it's changing.
Yeah. I can tell you the cheese mode that worked for me, I should say. There's tech tree upgrades and there's a little bit of randomness to them, but if you just stack up the one, like this is if you're like, I'm curious about this, I do think everyone should at least try it, if only so they can see like when we talk about TV mode what we were talking about, because this is like in-game TV mode. There's features that make it so you have a chance of generating a healing tile each time you take damage. The healing tiles do not heal you to your starting capacity. They scale infinitely. So all you have to do is find one spike spot and get enough of those upgrades that you're like, I think I have 100% chance to generate at least one of those tiles each time you take damage. And you just do that for a while until you have so much health you can't lose a fight. Then you clear the levels.
Yeah.
And so it's tedious, but it works. And you can stack that with like the experience boosting one, so you just like level up faster.
There was a couple combinations, and I think there's also one where like you generated money when you took damage or something too. Yeah. So like, you were literally grinding because you were just rubbing your face on a spike strip until you were unbeatable.
Yeah, it's deep pockets. I've got that turned on as well, where it's like you can spend HP to buy things if you're out of coins. You can generate coins from taking damage. Like, it's tedious. Like, I would not do this if I was like there was anything else I wanted to be doing. But if you are interested, and there are achievements attached to it, there's some lore attached to it. It's an interesting experiment in the game design. But if you are just trying to get caught up and you're like, I don't know what any of these things do, it's safe to put that on the back burner.
That is in Withering Domain territory of it is fully abandoned. It's not going away. At least there's been no indication of removing it. But it's also not going to be updated, so you're not going to miss out if like you don't get to it until 6 months down the line and you remember that there's this random one-off game mode.
Save it for when you're like recovering from some kind of surgery and you just want to play Zenless and have nothing else to do with your day.
I mean, honestly, Arpeggio mode would be the best time. You're zonked out on painkillers and you're like, let me just grind on a spike strip for a while, and then you forget like you weren't paying attention, and you know your Bang Boo has 9,999 when they're supposed to be in like the 40s.
Hit the cap. Oh man. But yeah, if there's something that y'all have questions about that we didn't tag in those game modes, I think it's interesting because like you and I have both had this experience of picking up a game that's been alive for a little while, and like you open up the game or you open up a window and you're like, this is overwhelming.
Especially like gotchas, because they will just start like you'll do a little bit and then they throw a whole bunch. You'll hit a point where they just like open the floodgates, and you're like, this is so much. Whereas, you know, if you played the whole time and like, oh, every 2 months they introduce a new feature, cool, I'm up to date with it. But when you're having a year's worth of features dumped on you with no real explanation of what you're doing, it can be overwhelming.
It can. And I think like for the most part, Zenless does a good job of not doing that to players. But I do think like the Outpost is the main offender of this, of like the Outpost has so many different things. So if you talk to one person, a whole bunch of different stuff shows up, and like you and I ignore half of it, but everyone else is like, there's so much I'm looking at right now. Like, what am I supposed to click on?
Yes, Scott Outpost was kind of their precursor to what Feilum Heights is now, where they wanted everything in one area. But what that means is when you first go to Scott Outpost and you have 17 like people who want to talk to you and they're all telling you different game modes, and you're like, I don't like it. I don't know. And you're being assaulted by that chunky music that's not as good as it could be if you're in other places. Like, I get it, man. Eric, did we accidentally do an entire episode without doing an innuendo? Innuendo. Oh, you saved it. There it is. Okay, we can end the show now. Yeah, man, I think that's everything going on. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, the other thing I would say that this made me all think about was like, I think it's interesting. I've been doing all the character relationship stuff, right? But I pulled Kaleda and Rena recently, and it's so jarring to go from let me talk to you, let's go to an event, to
wait, I have to pick a time of day to talk to you and I have to come find you?
Oh God.
What
yeah.
is happening?
Yeah, the relationship system has vastly improved. And at least now, you can just set the time. Remember before when, oh God, I missed the time. The meeting is canceled, but that still ate up one of my uses for the day.
Yeah. And you're just like cycling through the time you're going and sleeping again and again.
Yeah. Whew.
The only thing I did learn is the relationship quest where when you complete it, they can advertise for your store. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like it's after So those only trigger
when you
after
sleep.
a new day has started.
I just recently found that out because I slept.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of people who I had like maxed out my rep with, all of a sudden they were like, hey, have you found this movie? And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about, because I was like, I use basically the same people, just whatever element I'm currently going for. I was like, I did forget that. But yeah, so that is the only way to trigger those.
Thing. And like there's the things that trigger the next person to message you is just like obscure enough that I'll open a window and then close the window again, and then I'll get messaged by somebody new, and then I'll go like travel and then get messaged by somebody new.
I don't know. For me, it was like, it was just like 8 text messages in a row of like,
oh man,
which is fine, but I was just like, yep, that's what happens.
I got caught. I got caught in a loop of that happening when I was also trying to get caught up on the ghost ship.
Ooh.
So I would do one level of ghost ship and then it would pull me all the way out for me to answer a text message. Then I have to go back into ghost ship again and then get pulled back out because I'm going, hey, I found the movie. And I'm like, no, I didn't. I've been on a ghost ship. Like, please.
Which, yeah, because that was back when you would have to do actual missions to find the tapes.
Yes, you'd have to like do things like you have to run around and find them, and then like you get these moments now where there's like Kaleda standing outside the convenience store, but she's also standing outside your house.
Yeah.
Oh man, so that is another. If you're like doing that and you're like, why is this happening? That's an artifact of an older system as well. Zenless has not been out for that long, but they've definitely like cleaned up their systems pretty immensely.
The difference between, and it's, I just recently got my login for 365 days. So the game has just maybe been out for a year and a month, and the change it has gone through in that 1 year has been wild.
Well, I can tell you exactly how long it's been out for.
I don't want to know exactly. I want to use vague time.
My personal experiences, edit, signature. Nope. Edit.
Riveting stuff.
Title. This is really
Eric
good
navigates
podcast audio.
a menu.
Eric can't navigate his own phone. Okay. 411 days as of right now.
Oh, there you go.
Is how long the game
That's
is.
exactly what I said. Like roughly a year and a month.
That's what Brian said. It's about a year and a month. But now we have numbers that are specific to right now, but not specific to when this episode actually comes out.
Yeah, by that point, it'll be a year and 2 months.
413. No, 14. Whatever. If you enjoy the work that we do, and we use the word work in scare quotes here, if you enjoy the work that we do here on this podcast, please drop a like, subscribe, follow, whatever. Tell people about our podcast if you think they'd be interested. Leave a comment, send us an email. Our email is in the show notes. Or join our Discord server. We've got a nice little community here talking about the game and all of the other fun things we can think of. Our next episode will be in
I see what you did there.
2 weeks. What did I do there?
Arr. Because we talked about pirates briefly.
Do your arms hurt from stretching so far, or is...
No, I've been limbering up all episode.
Woof.
I gotta put an ice pack on my elbow now. I got scurvy.
But for real, y'all, Brian's got scurvy. Please support us to help support Brian's scurvy.
Donate lemons.
Our next episode is going to be out on September 4th. Like Brian said earlier, by that time we should have some new game info and probably some new info about the upcoming characters. We do know the next ones are going to be Seed and Orphe, so hopefully we have a little bit to talk about on that front. If there's anything that you would like for us to talk about in upcoming episodes, feel free to let us know in the show notes.
Oh man,
or the Discord.
If there's nothing interesting to talk about for 2.2, we're just gonna have to ramble.
About to say, yeah. If you want to see an even more rambling episode than this one is, brace yourselves, it's coming. But for real though, thank you all for listening, and we look forward to talking about things next time.
Bye.
The end. Bye. Finn. And that's the end of the podcast.
And now you know the rest of the podcast. Podcast.
The more you know.